Good afternoon, everyone. As usual, give it a couple of minutes or so. Give everyone an opportunity to jump in. Just going to make sure that all my audio is on the correct stuff. Good afternoon, Mohammed. I'm very well, thank you. How are you? All right, we're going to talk a little bit about the fundamentals that have been going on in the market because it is a very, very tricky market at the moment. We've got obviously we had ECB data today. They raised interest rates. Looks like they're going to continue to raise rates as well. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Good stuff. Morning, Denise. So we're going to have a look at what it means for the markets, what's been going on. It's a little bit more of a live market analysis again. I just wanted to kind of cover what was going on and the reaction to what's been going on, especially in sort of the euro area, as well as the dollar. But yeah, euro really reacting quite nicely to this at the moment. We were looking at a couple of positions euro wise. We're still looking at euro Oz, euro pound at support as well. So we'll take a little look at that. I imagine euro yen isn't doing too bad as well, considering the yen is extremely weak still. So yeah, let me just put the other template on. Yeah, look at that. Very, very weak. So I may come and do a bit of analysis on euro yen as well. Good afternoon, Vincent. How are you? Very interesting Fed data last night, wasn't it? Market calling it a bit of a hawkish pause. And yeah, very, very interesting considering market participants or Federal Reserve members still considering a potential for rates to go higher. A lot of the markets starting to maybe call their bluff in a way in terms of why not just hike now instead of waiting to hike in the future. But I think the Fed are giving themselves an option to potentially just sit out for a week, a month, sorry, because we've got to be aware that all the data coming in is sort of lagging data. So are they going to try and see how or see the impact of their rate hikes a little bit further and see if there's going to be a bit more data to show whether inflation continues to come down? We saw that obviously core CPI was getting a little bit sticky as well. So maybe they want to see that come down. I've made some notes in terms of what they're essentially looking for as well. But yeah, they're looking at stuff like core PCE as well. You know, let me just grab some stuff up here. But yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the Eurozone. Obviously, the ECB was the main topic of today as well. So it's been a heavy news week. We've still got the Bank of Japan to go. So, you know, it's going to be very, very interesting. I'm quite surprised the volatility is so low, to be honest. I expected a little bit of volume to be around, but the volatility is very, very low at the moment. Dollar index coming into this 10 102 area, 102.30. This was something that we spoke about in the live stream. There's a potential for price to trade below the 103s and continue lower. I had an interesting comment on one of the YouTube videos. It's basically asking, well, does this mean that the dollar is going to continue to fall at the moment? And it's a real tricky one to answer, isn't it? Because on one hand, you've got the Federal Reserve actually saying that there's more potential hikes to come. But on the other hand, the market is not agreeing with the Fed, and they're almost doing the opposite of what the Fed are talking about. How does this kind of shape up in terms of what happens next to sort of banking stability? I think it provides a little bit of stability there, the pause, but with regards to them saying that it's probably going to move higher, then are the banking sector going to be a little bit worried by that? Higher borrowing costs, higher unemployment is what they're looking for as well. So yeah, there's a ton of stuff going on. It's very hard to pick one direction for this market at the moment. The bias is changing quite rapidly. I'm doing well, Vincent. Thank you. All we can do really is digest the information, have a little look at some key areas to watch out for, and then go from there. So if you do have any comments, questions, let me know as we go along. Is there any charts of interest you want me to take a look at? I will go over a couple of them probably that you're interested in. So I'm going to feature a few of those today. But yeah, ECB President Lagarde expecting further hikes to come in July as well. We've got the inflation rate in the Eurozone up at 6.1% still. So nowhere near the 2 to 3% target. And, the ECB have got to be really careful here because, again, they don't really want to rock the boat with regards to the banking sector as well. And, these hikes, these hikes across the board, are they trying to force some type of recession to come into play? There's always that kind of talk as well. And, there's a potential for that if they continue to hike rates. Hi, Prince Caleb. Hope you're well. But yeah, we can see the dollar index at the moment. It didn't hold that 103. It came and fell through the 103s, and we're still pushing to the downside at the moment. That's helping euro dollar trade higher at this moment in time. Obviously, euro gaining a bit of strength off the back of what was going on with President Lagarde, talking about further rate hikes as well. Hi to Sharon. I noticed that the euro was going up when rates were released, but going down for a while during the press conference. What was happening during the press conference? Well, the announcement is usually the one where it's already priced into the move. So what happens then is we obviously see the press conference come out, and if you watch the press conference or look at the press conference notes after, then sometimes they start very sort of slow, maybe try and say the right things, and then they'll have a question pop up which kind of puts them a little bit off guard. But President Lagarde, by the looks of things, was very sort of hawkish in tone. The ECB have got to try and keep up with the Fed in a way as well. So, if you just have a little look around, we can look at the ECB's. So there's a comment from President Lagarde. Inflation has been coming down, but it's projected to remain too high for too long. So after raising rates by 25 basis points today, they can see more hikes to come as well. So yeah, just having a look at some headlines as well, just in case there's something that I missed. You've also got, obviously, next week as well is going to be really super interesting, because going into next week, you've got the Bank of England interest rate decision. And obviously, the Bank of England's rates at the moment are at 4.5%. And, Bank of England Governor Bailey's talking about seeing rates at 5.75%. So that's a few hikes to come there, unless they go super aggressive in the next one. But yeah, that's going to be an interesting one to play into next week as well. We've got Swiss National Bank and Powell testifying. So yeah, another volatile week to come. Let me just see if there's any headlines that I have missed, just so I can make sure that I've not missed anything too much. No, it doesn't look like I've missed too much, to be honest. When are they predicting? Okay, so they're projecting at the moment that they'll be closer to the 2% target by 2025. So, yikes. So here we go. The ECB isn't missing a beat in its rate hiking cycle, tightening another 0.25% to bring the deposit rate to 3.5%. While the ECB continues to stress data dependence, President Lagarde suggested a July hike is very likely as well. We think that the hike will be the last of the cycle, given the turn lower in inflation, but wage growth is still very strong. There's a decent chance they end up hiking in September as well. These are comments out by a European economic analyst. But yeah, very, very opposite to the Fed at the moment. Obviously, Fed pausing, ECB not looking to do that just yet. PMI next Friday as well. Yeah, next week should be interesting. Yep, just sharing that is a great point. The banks should, or will be, will have a harder time due to these rate hikes. The economy in general is going to suffer. At the end of the day, it's the consumer and the us really who suffered the most, isn't it, with those higher interest rates. Hi, right guy. Yeah, I'm having a great day. Thank you. Hope you are well too. Right, so let's have a look at the euro. Let's have a look at some technicals and what's going on across the board. Obviously, we've talked about the yen recently. Yen's still super, super weak, which is really interesting. Whether that changes tomorrow may be the day. Maybe the Bank of Japan decide to do something hawkish. How likely that is, I don't know. But at the moment, let's check out euro dollar. Euro dollar sitting around about the 1.0920s at the moment. We're heading towards these highs here, the 1.1075. We do have a little bit of like resistance on the way up to that kind of zone, which is kind of through this area here, which price looks to be sort of heading towards at the moment. That's around about the 1.0960s. Let me just change the view for you there so you can see. So yeah, this is we're approaching that kind of area of interest, aren't we? So can we potentially look for opportunities, or are traders still interested in being long? I think there would be, considering the fact that there is more hikes to come for the ECB. So what we may be seeing is some moves towards the 1.1075, may even break above it at some point. But what I'll be looking for is potential pullbacks into the 1.086s. So this sort of zone in here. And again, it's very, very just looking at the sort of strength and weakness situation going on at the moment. Dollar's getting weaker, euro's getting stronger. We're creating these higher highs and higher lows now. So, is this something we can potentially take advantage of if price comes back down towards this type of zone in here? We can definitely take advantage of that. Looking at the hourly, how could you take advantage of that? Well, if price comes down into this zone, you've got your 20 and your 50 moving average. RSI crosses back above the 50. That could be your sort of opportunity to see a move back to the upside there. So you can see it happen most recently Price came back down through, obviously had that sort of bullish candlestick off the news then, and price has continued to rally to the upside. So depending on how aggressive of a trade you went in on, then yeah, there was a potential there today. I was long euro this morning. I actually went short overnight, which was an interesting trade. I traded short down through this area here overnight, ended up taking some profits around about the 1.0810 at around about 5 o'clock this morning. So was up early for that one. Yeah, but price continuing to the upside. So we just got to, again, patient game now, wait to see if prices start to come back here. We did talk about dollar yen. So dollar yen was an interesting move to the upside again. Dollar yen very weak at the moment. You know, trading the yen against the dollar can be a little bit tricky recently because we've been in this sort of range for quite some time over the past sort of a couple of weeks or so. And we talked about the sort of the 20 and the 50 kind of squeezing together here and then starting to open with the price going above 50 with maybe some potential buyers coming in above this high. So, you know, that did rally a little bit. I think it was around about 100 pips or so to the upside there. So there was some decent rallies in this. And you can see price at the moment is retesting that structure high. So, you know, are we still going to see 142 on dollar yen despite the US dollar index, you know, trading to the downside? Just shows you how weak that Japanese yen is at the moment, especially against those other pairs that we looked at before, you know, CAD yen, for instance, continuing higher. Aussie yen absolutely ripping it to the upside at the moment. We're now trading at 96 spot 45s, you know, is the 98.50 on the cards here for Aussie yen. So really interesting dynamics here. I don't think I'll be trading any yen, to be honest, going into the Bank of Japan monetary policy announcement, to be honest. I just think that might be a little bit too risky for any kind of opportunities there. But yeah, let's take a look at some of those major pairs that we looked at. Aussie breaking the 0.68 handle. This is where we talked about maybe finding a little bit of resistance here, but that hasn't been the case. Price has broken through that resistance level now. So again, is that opening the door for moves up into these type of areas now for Aussie dollar? You know, having a little look at these kind of areas here, for instance, we've got the big number on Aussie, which is huge, which is that 0.7 handle. Always a big number for Aussie US dollar. So that's definitely one you can take a look at for price. We do obviously have this little shelf a little bit lower as well. So there may be some kind of stalling of price around this area as well, which is the 0.69 handle in there. So yeah, definitely some opportunities to potentially come on this market as well. Potential entries here today, about 47 pips to the upside. But again, I wouldn't really trade around that resistance. I'd wait for that to close at the moment. How about gold? You're hoping it'll fall towards 1914. Okay, SMNK, we'll take a look at that one. Denise is staying away from the yen until after the news. I think that's a good choice at the moment as well. How do you tell what time the Japanese central bank will make the announcement? I never see a time for it. It's always tentative. It's always on tentative. I was surprised gold shot up this morning with all the news. Yeah, well, maybe this is a bit more of a risk play at the moment as well. So this is how interesting the market is, isn't it? The yen is super weak, which is technically that sort of risk off, risk on sentiment. Yet you've got gold sideways, dollar down. it's really, really tricky conditions at the moment. And, the typical correlations aren't really being seen or met at the moment. This is why I said there's almost like a disparity, or there's a sort of a, what's the word? I'm trying to think of the word. But let's just say the sort of market versus central banks, they're not really in sync at the moment. They're not really believing each other in terms of the market's not believing what the central banks are kind of talking about. And the market's typically always right, isn't it? So the market is the market. So, but yeah, this is quite interesting considering the dollar, is down, 106 points. You've got gold up at the moment. Again, is this a hedge going on at the minute? Are market participants hedging with gold? Now, if we did get some other sort of data, we did get some other data out, sort of the Fed last night. I have made some notes just on core PCE is in focus as well. So I do just want to mention that in the Q&A, Fed Chairman Powell says we're not seeing a lot of progress on core PCE, and that the Fed want to see it move down a bit more decisively. So, a big miss on the core PCE data will, obviously lead to those yields falling, dollar falling, and maybe gold rallying as well. So let's go check out the yields actually and see what's going on in the bonds area. Let me just grab bonds. Yeah, bonds coming down at the moment. We did see them peak at 3.8% again at the minute. But yeah, another sort of move down in bonds, which I'll just bring onto the screen. You can see bonds just topping out here at the 3.8%. So yep, Denise, Japan has usually dropped the news 2 hours into the Asian session. Yeah, that's some good info. Thank you. But look at these bond yields. 3.8% rejecting, and we're going to come down to the 3.6s again. If we come down to the 3.6s, that means the dollar's probably got a little bit more of a move to the downside here. Gold probably going to play back up to 1976. And then it's, again, what do we do within that range-bound area? Is price going to then break gold? And are we going to see 2075 again? I think this is showing us that the sellers of gold are not really taking a hold of the market. Let's see if there's any COT data out there. I haven't looked at it in a couple of weeks, hoping that we'd get a little bit more information. So yeah, seeing a little bit more buying really than selling at the moment on the COT. Nothing dramatic though. Nothing dramatic. So yeah, interesting going to be going in. We've got obviously the consumer sentiment tomorrow. I think it's going to all look to next week now, isn't it, really? So we've got Fed Chair Powell testifying on Wednesday, pound CPI Wednesday as well. What are the US unemployment claims are going to be big. Yeah, and the flash manufacturing PMIs as well. So it's going to be a big week next week. But everything just seems to be waiting for some kind of big catalyst, doesn't it? And at the moment, market is very, very, very tentative. But dollar getting absolutely battered here. Let's have a look at cable. So cable was one that we were talking 26.50 highs. We really just basically waited for this weekly to sort of come into the key areas. 123.50 was the one to watch. Cable now trading above 126.50, above 127 as well. is the next point for cable up at this 1.3. So I think this is where we're going to get that extension to. You know, if you look at your sort of your fib extensions and things like that, maybe there'll be an extension level around there. I'm not a big believer in that kind of stuff, but there's potential for price to get to 1.3 here. Can that provide us again with some opportunities? Look at the 4-hour time frame. You know, maybe if price starts to sort of pull back into these areas here, maybe dive down into that sort of hourly time frame. Might have been a little bit of an option, either going into sort of last night or even to today. So, you know, I think traders were looking for longs above 126.75, and you know, you're about 80 pips up if you manage to grab onto any of that kind of move there. But yeah, again, just wait for that pullback. I might just set some alerts actually on these charts at the moment, just to see if we get any kind of pullbacks into key areas. Obviously, dollar, I think, very bearish now. Although we're coming into the 102.20s, 101s could be the next spot for the US dollar index here. Cable to 1.30. Yeah, Prince Caleb, I think the same. Yeah. Let's have a look at the monthly chart. I mean, could argue we're trading in a sort of massive range, aren't we? Although we breached the downside of the range. Maybe in the sort of bigger picture, the 1.4200 could be something to watch out for. Pound yen as well. This is going to be an interesting chart. Right, let me just sort some of this out up in here, otherwise it looks a little bit messy. But yeah, pound yen is going to be very, very interesting. Sorry guys, it's just because I made those labels a bit too big. Kind of distracting. Get rid of this one. Get rid of this one. Now, pound yen, obviously a very sort of well-traded currency pair. So, you know, where's pound yen heading? 181s maybe. Next level 187 after that. Then you've got the 194.50s, 195s. So that's going to be a major level, isn't it? That 195 on cable. Or pound yen, sorry. And we also know that if we were to look left as well, we got all this information here. So big number, 195. Yeah, interested if you get a triple top. Is that on cable? Was that up here? Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they probably played the range there, to be honest. Aussie US dollar looks like it could head back to the yearly highs. Let's have a quick look at that. Let's have a look. Let's go to the weekly chart. Let's control Y. Yeah. 71.25s. Yeah, that looks very interesting now, doesn't it? It says, especially as we've traded through this trend line resistance, you know, is that the sort of next spot for the market here, 71.25. Got a few levels to break through first, but like you said, that doesn't look like it's too far away, does it? 71.25 at the moment. You know, we're only 250 pips away from that, and the way this market is moving is likelihood to meet there. It never fails to surprise you, the market, really. But Aussie yen is definitely the one to watch at the moment. I did actually have a long position set in at 95.30 today to see if we got a big pullback, but we haven't quite had it. Instead, prices sort of retested 95.75, and yeah, up about 75 pips from that level. This is one of those markets where you're probably going to have to dive lower in order to get a position, like we said before. Although, you know, I don't really like, with this particular strategy, I don't particularly like to go lower than this sort of hourly using that. But, you know, when a market is just absolutely running away, you've got to sort of take a look at it and go, well, how do I even jump on the back of this? And I think this is important as well. Why you need you know, you don't just use one strategy fits all sort of technique. You know, why you need to maybe have a couple of different strategies to take advantage of the market, because this is what we should be really taking advantage of. It's when markets go sort of nuclear like that. I mean, that's a 560 rally there. So really speaking, 30-minute entries would have looked pretty good on this market in particular. So yeah, but we'll see how far it goes. Obviously, we've got our sort of plan, 98.50. If price starts to move towards 98.50, I think that's Aussie US dollar towards the 0.7 area as well. Euro yen, another market that's performing pretty well as well. Let's have a little look at this level up here. So we've got the 168.75 on euro yen. Also got this kind of range low that appeared. So we'll go 156.25 on that. In the middle of the 30 and the 20. So, you know, potential here for price to reach. I think I'd probably prefer it to reach the higher level, just because that gives us more opportunities to probably look for a move into this market. 168.75. Obviously, we have this high that price has recently traded through as well. Let's go 148.75 on that. Building a bit of a picture here for euro yen of kind of where it's been, where it could go to. But yeah, I think the overall target for this market, again, this has also got to depend on what happens on sort of the Bank of Japan, you know. Yeah, very hard when there isn't a pullback. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's when you kind of need to maybe broaden your strategy techniques out. I know a lot of people probably have one strategy that they stick to, and that's absolutely fine. And I think in those situations, then you got to stick to your guns. And just, you know, you're going to miss moves at the end of the day. Doesn't mean that there's not another move around the corner. Doesn't mean that there's not a currency pair or commodity or stock that you can look into instead. You know, sometimes we just have to, you know, realize that we've missed the boat. Daily chart's quite interesting because we've also traded through these highs. It was almost like a bit of a sort of flag pattern, wasn't it? Big move into it, or pennant pattern, whatever you want to call them, consolidation patterns, a breakout in the direction of where it's come from. So some upside here on euro yen. I'm just placing another alert down through here. See if we get a pullback. I did get an alert on the euro Swiss actually. Where is that? Let's have a little look at euro Swiss. Okay, so this is interesting because although Swissy started to come back with a little bit of strength, which isn't ideal, I quite like Euro Swiss because of these kind of candlesticks that have been forming down through here as well. Market's been very sort of range bound over the past few weeks, very low ranging. If we look left, it's kind of in at these supporting lows through here as well. You know, I was expecting maybe you know, a move into trendline resistance, or at least up into sort of these areas through here where you've got those highs. And yeah, quite like the opportunity there. So I've been watching that 4-hour time frame, and I did have an alert go off recently, because it's come back into the level which was kind of meeting the strategy sort of setup. Now the strategy is the 20, the 50 moving average, the RSI breaking through 50 and breaking back through. So you got the 20 and the 50 moving average. You've got price trading through and making higher highs. Price came back in, broke below the 50s, closed above the 50 now, and that would have been sort of your area to watch in here. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see if Euro Swiss now takes off and starts playing with that strategy there. Like I said, the only problem I've got with this one is that the Swiss franc is starting to, or was showing some signs of strength. If we go look at where is it now? I did have Aussie Swiss and Pound Swiss on the lookout as well, and both of those were falling this morning. So yeah, dollar CAD actually breaking lower as well. Still got 132.24 to break though, which are these lows that formed back on November 2022. So still a little bit of work to do here on dollar CAD, but you know, we're in and around it. Put that on 22. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens when dollar CAD enters this area. Do you get a breakout and a pullback, or does price start to reject in and around that level and start seeing price move back to the upside? Again, bearish trend here at the minute, and it's just one of those weeks that we're having where price is now really starting to move. Price is now starting to break through key structure points, and you know, I think it can be very easy to look at a market and go, that's very overextended. You know, I don't really want to continue onto that move. But problem with these overextended moves, you never know when they're quite going to end. And if you try and start to sell these rallies now, you're probably going to get really, really hurt doing that. So it's always best to kind of stick with the trend until it ends. Is the saying that goes, and it's true. You know, you're going to be wrong at some point, because the trend is going to end at some point, but you try and follow it as much as you physically can. I mean, look at pound yen, sorry. Look at the pullbacks there. It's very, very shallow pullbacks. So, yeah, like I said, how you meant to jump on that? You've got to maybe take a bit of a risk and go to your lower time frames to do that. Yep, it's been a good week for trend continuations. Absolutely. It's been a very, very good week. So next week, we'll do a little bit of live market analysis, and we'll go over the upcoming meeting for the Bank of England. Obviously, Governor Bailey's already talking about rates at 5.75%. So that's going to be a bit of send a bit of a hawkish shock into the markets. Whether the UK banking sector likes that news, probably not. But we shall see what happens. I don't really know what else to show you guys now, because we've got everything just going absolutely chaotic. You know, there's no real pullbacks for us to really watch at the minute. Dollar's absolutely tanking it to the downside, you know. It'd be interesting if we did get a short bounce here at the 102s. If we did get a short bounce here, you could look across your major currency pairs then and look for that little bit of a pullback for your continuation. But yeah, let's have a little look at, is there anything popping up seasonally? Now, we did kind of talk about the yen strength in June. Oh, we haven't seen that yet, have we? So, you know, maybe we can look at the seasonality of when the market, or the yen in particular, is bearish through June. So let's have a little look. So we can come down to the right hand side here. Let me just close this out. So we can go, what if June is negative? Wow, look at that. If June is negative, then it continues really through to the end near the middle to the end of July before we start seeing a little bit of a move up. And that'll probably coincide with a lot of those yen pairs, coming through, isn't it, for those highs, those major highs. So adds a little bit of confluence to that, doesn't it? Let's see if June. Let's just for the sort of interest, have a little look at what if June was bullish. Similar outcome, really, in terms of bullishness through July, August. Pre-election. Yeah, all kind of pointing to the middle of the end of July, really, for a bit of a boost to the yen. So this yen weakness could still be on the cards for us for a good while longer here. Good while longer, at least into the month, which in this game could be those yen pairs hitting those key area points as well. Let's see what markets made clear have on the seasonal planner today. It's the 15th. Let's see what we've got. Potentially Amazon as well. So if you look at your stock markets, if anyone's interested in your stock markets, around about June 16th, quite positive for Amazon. Let's have a look. Merchant company. Let's see if we can select the market type. Let's see if we can just look at the majors in Forex. So potentially one coming up for the Canadian dollar. Again, look at June sort of being fairly bullish. Well, a bit of a roller coaster, actually. Finding lows at the end of June. Now, we know June has been a very, very strong month for CAD so far. So, yeah, when that's happened in the past, it has continued towards the middle of July. So, again, you kind of look at these and then you start building the picture. Okay, well, let's take a look at CAD yen, for instance. Does that mean CAD yen is likely going to be at the 110s by the middle of July? And there's a potential for, price to break to the downside from there, You work for Amazon, Denise? Okay, cool. I haven't been following yen for a year. Dollar yen used to be my favorite. Yeah, dollar yen's a nice pair to trade. Dollar yen is a good pair. Right, guys, I'm absolutely boiling in this room, so I'm going to shoot off from here. Hope you enjoyed the live stream. Again, be back with the live market analysis next week. We'll be talking about that Bank of England. We'll talk about some pound pairs. Let's see if there's any kind of opportunities from this dollar weakness that we're seeing in the markets. And, we'll see if there's any kind of continuation from that. So, pharmacy technician for their mail order pharmacy. Okay. I didn't even know Amazon had pharmacy. It's not here in the UK anyway, I don't think. Right, guys, be safe out there. I'm going to leave it there. Don't try and jump on this dollar yen or this dollar downside just yet. Wait for those safer pullbacks in the market if you are going to get involved. And just acquired the pharmacy last year. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's see what's in store for us going into tomorrow. Like I said, though, it's very tricky markets at the moment, so don't be too down on yourselves if you are. not doing particularly well at the moment. It is a tricky market out there at the moment. The balancing between the pauses, the hikes, the potential. Yeah, cool. Thanks, guys. Right, I'm going to leave it there. I will speak to you next week. Have a great one. And speak to you next week. Cheers, guys.